What's up, nerds? So I'm going to comment in another Slavoj Zizek video, one of my favorite philosophers, the Hegelian slash Lacanian slash Marxist philosopher who has a lot of controversial opinions. Anyway, he's talking to Yanis Varoufakis, who is a Greek economist and used to be the Greek finance minister. I watched a TED talk of his once in which he sounded like he has kind of a lefty economic position, but I know literally nothing about him other than that. But his thoughts sound interesting, so I kind of want to look into those more. Anyway, Zizek and him are talking about Zizek's opinion that Trump is a fetish created by Obama, but Kamala is even worse apparently. So let's get into it.
In one of my books, I hope you will agree with the metaphor. In one of my books, I said Trump is not just a bad guy, obviously, but he is literally, in Freudian sense, a fetish figure. You know, this notion of fetish in Freud, which may appear too simple, but it's more complex. Let's drop this, where he says, fetish is in principle the last thing you see before seeing castration. No? That's why it's hair or...
Trump is the last thing you see before castration in Freud's state of fetishism or something like that. That's pretty hilarious. And he is a fetish to people. Think about all of his cult followers. They just fucking love him and then want to kneel and suck his dick all the time. And he can do no wrong, right?
Or feet or whatever before the guy undresses. Okay, let's not go into what Freud meant by this. What I want to say is that for this new pseudo welfare, politically correct radical center, Trump is the last thing they see before they would see class struggle, social...
I think he means like liberals, basically. Liberals or Democrats.
Antagonism. Yeah. That's why they need this demonization of Trump. Now, I'm not against demonizing Trump, but would you agree or not? We should never forget...
demonizing Trump.
Sorry?
I am against demonizing Trump because Trump is such a poor excuse for human nature that you do not need to demonize him. You just talk bluntly about the fact that he's making promises to the dispossessed. You see, what he's very good at, at the Lacanian level, whatever, he connects with people. He tells them, I feel your pain, there is carnage in America, you have been fucked by this elite.
Which is true.
Which is true. Which is true. And then he makes promises which he never intends to see through. Exactly. He takes the CEO of Goldman Sachs and makes him Treasury Secretary. He takes all the bastards from, the real estate sector and makes them responsible for housing. He takes Kennedy and makes him responsible for health. So why do you need to demonize him? Just say that.
No, but what I want to say is...
He said he'd be against the elites, and then he put only elites in his cabinet, basically.
No, I agree with you.
Because they are the ones that were part of completely destroying 60% of the American population.
Yeah, so again, I totally agree. That's my point, what you said now. It's that we should never forget, while, of course, fighting Trump together with whomever when he will infringe on LGBT women's rights and so on, that Trump is a symptom of the failure of this radical center.
He's a symptom of Obama.
Yeah.
He was the creation of Obama. Remember, Obama was elected at the height or the depth of the worst capitalist crisis since 1929. So you had the bankers who had absolutely wrecked the lives of millions of Americans. And he gets up there and says, yes, we can. Yes, we can do what? Punish the Wall Street bastards who created the circumstances of the gloom and doom of the American people, and here in the United Kingdom and in Europe and so on. And
he kind of did the same thing as Trump in a way. He made promises to change things, and he didn't really actually do that.
Support the victims of this crisis. And what does he do? He takes Larry Summers and Tim Geithner, the two men that Bill Clinton had appointed to unleash the toxic powers, the demonic powers of Wall Street upon the American people, and he makes them responsible for two things: bailing out the bankers, and also imposing austerity on the people who voted for him. So the result is Trump.
And absolutely. And you know what's the irony here? Cruel irony that all this, just focusing on Trump, horror, deportation of immigrants. But look at the numbers under Obama's rule.
Yes.
There were more deportations, just done more discreetly than under...
Obama was deported.
If I understand correctly, Obama did way more deportations than Bush while pretending to not be that way about immigration, and then Trump did even more deportations too. But either way, Obama did a lot of fucking deportations.
Deporting the parents of American citizens, of children whose parents were American citizens. That's what Obama was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, Biden has created more draconian conditions at the wall separating America from Mexico than they were under Trump.
It seems like as politicians progress, one successive president after the other, they get more and more draconian on the border. Like Obama was even more draconian than Bush, and then Trump was even more draconian than Obama, and then Biden was even more draconian than Trump. And now he's probably going to be even more draconian as Trump 2 than he was as Trump 1, and also more so than Biden, I would bet.
Trump.
Okay, now I ask you a provocative question in the sense that how should I reply? Some of my friends who will join you in Gulag, so I don't agree with them very much, who say, but nonetheless, didn't Biden, like the first president who went to support auto workers' strike, didn't he nonetheless in economy did some not so bad things in economy? Or I want a reply to you so that I can answer my critics.
Absolutely, he did. He did some interesting things, but they were for show.
Yeah.
They were not the substance. He did, I mean, symbolically, it was important to go and join the picket line at the auto workers' strike. I saluted that. But what was his policies regarding industry? Where were his policies regarding the vast number of people who, as I said before, once they fall ill, they go bankrupt and they simply are annihilated? Nothing. He was always in the pocket of the pharmaceutical industry, of the medical industrial complex. He always bent over.
Let's not forget also Operation Warp Speed for the vaccines that Trump did, and he said, like, even to many of his MAGA fans, for example, when he was with Bill O'Reilly and by himself, I took the vaccine, I like the vaccine is good, I even got the booster, it's very good.
Backwards to accommodate the needs of the rentiers, of the financiers. So when it comes to making a choice between the two sides, look, I understand. Look, I wish both of them had lost the election.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I wish both of them had lost. I would not have voted for either of them. I do not condone anyone who says that because Kamala Harris is X, Y, Z, and so on, I'm going to vote for Trump. There's always Jill Stein. There's always abstention where you can express yourself. And there is always political activism to create an alternative. But especially in 2016, you and I were on different camps. You don't remember that?
Where? With regard to
with regard to the American election. Because you were saying, vote for Trump. Or you had said it once in 2016.
Yeah.
Whereas,
and I still think I was right, but that's another point. Yeah. I can explain why.
Maybe. But Noam Chomsky and I were on stage at the New York Public Library, and somebody asked us, and we said, both of them, we were not coordinated. We said, if you are in a safe seat, in a safe constituency, vote for Jill Stein, vote for the third party. But if you are in a swing state, hold your nose like that and vote for Clinton so as to avoid a Trump presidency. But now,
absolutely,
I would. In the 2024 election, my point was, Genocide Joe, the Joe Biden and the Kamala Harris, who looked at the American people who were struggling and demanded of them that they celebrate the great economy. They were telling them...
And Kamala is just as genocidal as Joe, and Trump is just as genocidal as both of them.
You're wrong. Inflation is finished. Why are you complaining? You're fools. Whereas Trump was saying, I feel your pain. Now, at that point, I think the radical position and the democratic position and the ethical position, the dialectical position, to say neither nor.
No, I totally agree with you. And you know whom you quote here? It's not meant only by irony. From time to time, I'm not a Stalinist, sorry. Stalin
From time to time, he's not a Stalinist.
Yeah, Stalin produced a nice paradox. You know, when in late 20s, he was asked which deviation is worse, rightist or leftist. He said, not both are equally bad, but they are both worse. And that should be.
Yeah.
Kamala and Trump, they are both worse. So it's where maybe, you know where I oscillated. Now we are not attacking each other, but I sincerely...
I do agree with the paradox that Kamala and Trump are both worse.
We want party guidelines for you. Many people with whom I had contact there, they said, okay, but at an ordinary daily level, if Trump wins, we will be deprived of abortion, more racism, and so on. So, nonetheless,
look,
should we... That's
on the
one of the arguments.
On the question of abortion, on the question, I have enormous empathy for every woman of reproductive age in the United States, because the removal of basic human rights for women under that Supreme Court and under the Trump administration is a major defeat for humanity. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. But we cannot think on a single issue. Kamala Harris, in my view, because she simply would not be in control of her own government, it would be the neocons behind, would be a clear and present threat to world peace. The Democrats, they have never seen the people who are amongst the cabal that is ruling the Democratic Party now, and they're neocons. You know, the Cheneys and the Wolfowitzes have moved from the Republican Party and they were the Democratic Party. These people have never seen a war they don't like. And
except for all of the neocons that are also in Trump's cabinet. They're in both parties. I
very much fear, however mad and sad and bad Trump is, that under the Democrats, the rest of the world would be in much greater peril under the Democrats.
I tend to agree with you, and I'll give you a proof.
I disagree.
No way in...
like even according to them, the reason people call Joe genocide Joe, obviously, is mainly due to Israel and Palestine, not to mention all of his other bad war shit that he's doing. But, you know, it's fairly widely known that, especially in terms of people who Trump has appointed to his cabinet, that he's going to be even more genocidal about Palestinians and on the side of Israel than even more so than Kamala would have been. And maybe Kamala is even more so than Biden would have been, and Trump's even more so than Kamala would have been, I think.
Whatever we can make, in whatever way we can make fun of Trump and so on, but sorry, although it failed, by simply contacting Kim Jong-un, North Korea, the tension was eased. Trump did a surprising thing. You remember when there was tension in Korea, the true madman, who is now, of course, on Democratic side, John Bolton,
of course.
Also, in terms of North Korea, though, it was good that he was like trying to prevent war, but he also threatened fucking nuclear war with North Korea. It said fire and fury. Bob Woodward talks about that in his book with firsthand accounts of people who were in his administration. And if you read that book, you find out that we were actually like way closer to war with North Korea than like it seemed like we were at the time. So yeah, Trump kind of did maybe some anti-war stuff. Like he started the process of a peace deal with Afghanistan, the Taliban in Afghanistan, and Joe Biden continued that process and ended America's role in Afghanistan, but he didn't get given credit, even though Trump would have been given credit if he did that.
2000, and Trump fired him, said, no, I don't want world war, and so on.
Not only that.
That's true, but he also has appointed to his cabinet people who are just as neoconservative as John Bolton, people who are have similar policies on war, and even people who are like proteges of John Bolton or, look up to him.
He stopped the U.S. Air Force. The planes were in the sky about to bomb Tehran, and And Trump woke up in the middle of the night and stopped that. My great fear is that he
If
may
that's
not
true, then that's obviously very good too.
prevent a clash between the United States armed forces and the Chinese ones. That because the whole of the American system, even those who
I
disagree.
don't know about that. It seems like he was really fucking aggressive towards China in terms of war, and it seems like he's still that way. I don't know.
Agree with the persecution of the Ukrainian war, even those who disagree with the continuing genocide in Palestine. By the way, it is remiss of us not to have mentioned the genocide in Palestine, which is unfolding as we speak, with whole people being pulverized. Even those people, they are gung-ho about a possible confrontation, even a military one with China. And that is completely bipartisan in the United States. That's a great, clear and present danger.
Not lefties I've seen, but certainly some lefties.
But let me because
No,
we can talk
because
about
I
Trump
wanted
forever.
to go
I don't
into
think he
that.
deserves
Listen,
it.
seems like
this will interest
yeah.
you. I'm sorry.
It seems like maybe like the uber radical far lefties, like some people like Jimmy Dore and people of his ilk have made really pro-China points.
I am trying in a very friendly way. We can talk
Although I should say former far left, because Jimmy Dore is a fucking Trump supporter now.
normally to bring out a possible, not even difference, but okay, I'll put it like this. I was once in Japan, and I was told,
like this.
If you don't agree with a guy, how do you say it there? And I was told, probably a lie, that the polite Japanese way is to say, I totally agree with you, I would just maybe put a slightly different accent, which I will say now and tell you, but you know why? Maybe we made some different formulations, although I paid my price for supporting Palestinians, that Frankfurt Book Fair, not as heavy price as you, but I'm also now absent from the media in Germany.
That is a badge of honor.
Yeah. But look, I am not, in contrast to you, maybe, I'm not sure, critical of Hamas from this time.
No, this is where they get into more of the Israel and Palestine stuff, which is a whole different issue. But yeah, as always, I think Slavoj Zizek's opinions are interesting, even if I disagree with some of them. And he has an interesting way of putting things, of course, and him talking with Yanis Varoufakis is interesting too. And of course, claiming that Trump is a Freudian fetish is hilarious, and that Obama is responsible is also somewhat true. And like I said, I agree with the Stalinist paradox that Trump and Kamala are both worse. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and adios until next time.